everybody, and welcome to MangaPod. We are a weekly podcast in which we all get together after we read all or part of a manga, manhwa, webtoon, any of that fun stuff. This week we are discussing Dice, the cube that changes everything, chapters 31, negative 30, plus 1, 30, plus 38.
We don't math on MangaPod if you haven't noticed.
That's what we read. I'm Erin. I'm aptly Erin, your host, and with me is one of my very lovely co-hosts as well as a very special guest. Let's have everybody go around and introduce themselves, please.
What's up, guys? My name's Lou, and I'm from Lou Talks Anime. Also, Lou Plays Game on Twitch. And yeah, this is going to be a manga that we're going to talk about that I have feelings about. And Erin has feelings. And Moeka, who will introduce herself shortly, has feelings.
Yes.
Betty, lots of things to say. Okay, Moeka, go ahead and introduce yourself. I'm done.
Hello, it is I, MegaMoeka. How's it going? Everybody's like, where's the webcam? I forgot to pack mine. I'm currently out of town. So, yeah, sorry about that. But, hello, I have I have feelings about this manga that I was just like, I don't know if people are going to agree with me, but we'll see.
Awesome. That's the best kind of manga pod discussion is where you come in knowing I don't know who's going to agree with me or what's going to agree, because then the discussion is great because you just don't know what's going to happen. We're all so civil and nice, and it's awesome. Mm-hmm. Discuss it with friendship, love, and lots of spoilers. Realize I didn't say that part earlier. But thank you, Moeka, for being on. We really appreciate you being here.
Oh, I love being on, so thanks for having me.
Yeah. If you guys have never joined us for a manga pod before, what we like to do is give you a short, spoiler-free description of the manga that we read, aka summary, and then we'll give you our oh my god.
Spoiler-free recommendation.
Spoiler-free recommendation. Thank you, Lou. Thank you. And then we will jump into spoiler section. We ask that you not spoil anything until we get to spoiler section. And after we get to spoiler section, please don't spoil anything past chapter 38. We are very harsh on spoilers. We call you guys rotten bacon butts, and it's not a nice name to have. It's really stinky, and you'll be timed out, banned, all of that fun stuff. So please do not. Just don't do it. Cool. Moeka, do you mind reading it? Did I send it to you when we were talking about Warren Buffett earlier?
No.
I forgot to send it to you because we were talking about Warren Buffett. It's fine. It's fine. Hold on. Here, I'm just gonna hop in and read it, okay?
Okay, go for it.
Okay. Dante is rock bottom in everything. Looks, grades, life, everything. But all that might change. If you could change your life by playing a game, would you? There you go. There's a description. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. Went roll in there. Sweet. So, spoiler-free recommendations. Would anybody like to go first?
I'll go first.
Hit it.
If you're going to read this, read more than what we read.
Yeah.
That's about the extent of my recommendation. Like, I didn't hate the manhwa. I feel like all we got was the build up to what's going to be the interesting part. Mm-hmm. And like, notice how I'm emphasizing just the build up. That means that there hasn't been a substantial payoff. Mm-hmm. Like we've seen maybe one or two really big events in the manhwa so far. And while they've been pretty okay in terms of a payoff, as payoffs that advance the narrative, I feel that they really lack anything that gripped me. The only thing that really kept my interest was the world building surrounding what the dice do. Mm-hmm. And that's about it for my spoiler-free recommendation. I have a lot to say about it, so I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say.
Yeah. I'll piggyback off that in terms to say that I definitely agree to read more than what we read. I wish that we had been had enough time to read the entire first section that I think goes to like chapter 67 or 68. Time just didn't allow it, but I do wish we'd gotten there because it was definitely building up. But we haven't, like Lou said, haven't hit much payoff yet. The art is gorgeous. I will say that. As per webtoon, manhwa tends to happen. It's very, very pretty art and really cool action. But I agree with Lou that the characters, well, I don't know, that the world around the dice is what's kept me more engaged than any of the characters or anything thus far either. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. That's all I'll say on it too right now.
Yeah, I think really, my biggest thing would be read more of it if you can. Don't stop at 38 or anything before that. Especially, oh my god, yeah, before that, I would not recommend just reading to there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, let's jump into spoiler section so that we can get our spoiler feels going. All right, so we are going to jump into the spoiler section. That means if you do not want to be spoiled for this manga, now is the time to take your leave. You can go read the manhwa. Like I said, 38 chapters. Manhwa tends to go a little bit faster, but either way, you'll be able to come back and watch the VOD of this. It'll stay up on my Twitch, and then I also will be uploading it to YouTube at a later time. So if you don't want to be spoiled, now's the time to take your leave. Does anybody want to count down for me?
Okay.
3,
Moek.
2, what?
The dice are gone.
X is God.
X is God. Oh.
But not really.
But
not really. Not really God. But kinda.
Yeah, he I don't know. He has powers that are godlike, but at the same time, there's that one passage where he was like, or they were talking about God. God don't play with dice or something like that.
Yeah. The Einstein. I have a theory. This is just, I like to do this thing where I'm like, yes, I'm so smart. I'm so calling this. But it turns out everybody else in the world has already called it. But my theory, I'm calling it, is that X is the kid from the prologue that's talking about adults and stars and stuff. I think that's X. I think that's X.
Pretty nifty. I
don't know. No theory other than my instinct, but I like to think that that's it. That's my prediction.
I will say though, as I was reading this manga, I was reminded of a DMX song because of X's name.
Oh.
So X gonna give it to you. Fuck, wait for you to get it on your own. X gonna deliver to you. And I'm pretty sure what's being delivered is suffering, because that's all that's been going on so far is a lot of suffering. A character died.
Yeah,
very
died. I was surprised.
Yeah, I was surprised. Yeah, I agree that happened so early. I wish. This is how I feel about a lot of. Okay. Actually, I'll come back to this. Let's start with the question that we usually start with to keep the structure of the show. What are you guys expecting before reading this manhwa?
Okay, well, I expected what I normally get from manhwa, which is really pretty art, which, I mean, we've already established that the art is really nice in this. And I kind of feel like most of the manhwa that I've read has this really big concept that gets explored gradually, like in Tower of God, for example, where well, I don't want to spoil Tower of God, but,
I know,
but where this concept gets introduced and then it gets explored 100 different ways, and so far I feel like we've seen it explored once or twice in this section of reading, where we've seen someone give themselves super strength, and we've seen how they can generally apply their abilities to every part of their body, like our main character did. And then we can see how they can amplify their vision, and how it's borders on supernatural powers, kind of. But it's very selective, where the person can specialize in however they feel they can. And apparently they can stop time too. They can turn into Dio.
Yeah.
Spoilers for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Sorry.
Yeah, I had heard a lot of hype around this manhwa. Because it's on whenever you go to different manga sites, like reading sites, they have it's always up in like the hot rated or most read or something, most recommended. And so it's always up there, and I'd seen it forever, and I was like, I really want to read this sometime. And so going into it, I expected, like you said, Lou, to have themes be explored. But I also was hoping to connect with characters a little bit more, I think. That was something was definitely going into, hoping to connect with some characters a lot more than I did. But I was expecting very pretty art, and I got some very pretty art.
Yeah.
What about you, Moeka?
I yeah, I was like, oh, art. I feel like it's gonna be good. I don't know. I didn't really read like too much description wise, so I was just like, oh, I wonder if this is gonna be like a gambling manga in
Mhm.
some way. So I was just like, I don't know. I was just surprised that it was like so like life changing, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Because I like wasn't expecting like, oh, this is literally like a game where you can on the spot, if you use the skill points or the die in this example, like that you can just change your appearance straight up or become like Superman. Like I don't know, it's so crazy.
Yeah.
Can I tell you that for like a brief second while reading the first chapter, or like not chapter 0, but chapter 1,
Mm-hmm.
the design of the main character reminded me of kind of the main character from Killing Stalking.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh yeah. No, I
Uke
I
can
boy
could.
see
from
that.
the little Uke
Yeah.
boy from
Okay,
Killing
boy.
Stalking.
Oh. Oh no. That manhwa. He reminded me of a lot. I got a lot of this manhwa. I got feels of Tower of God. I got Tower of God feels.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
much of it. And like I don't want to I'm not gonna spoil Tower of God, but there's a part of Tower of God, Emily. If you read it, you know who Emily is. It's not a spoiler. That very much feels like they might have seen that part of Tower of God and decided to expand on it in a different way, or take that same theme, or that kind of character, all-knowing character, and that's kind of where that gave me the big vibes from like X, the whole thing with X. And the art itself looks very inspired by it. Like it's really good, and it's not like it's carbon copying. It just, I got major. You can definitely see Tower of God inspiration in this. At least I feel like you can see it. Very Tower of
No,
God.
absolutely. And honestly, since we're comparing the art of both of them, if you have the time to read either, or read Tower of God instead, because as much potential as this manhwa has, uh, Tower of God, I've read like 300 chapters or 200,
At
between
least
250 or 300 chapters
I
of
think
Tower of
it's like
God,
300 is where we're at now
and
with
it
it.
was
Yeah.
consistently good from the very beginning. So I just think it's a better investment of time given what I've read so far. Granted, there's, based on what Erin said earlier, where it's always like, or Dice is pretty highly regarded on the Scanlation sites or the Manhwa websites or wherever. Um, that's not to say that this won't turn a corner and get better. And I do want to read more. I would be totally up for reading more. There's just that nagging concern of, there are better things that I know that I could be reading, but is it worth giving this one a shot to turn that corner? Which I've noticed that a couple people in the chat have said either around chapter 50 or chapter 80 it starts to get really good. So I mean, 20 chapters, it's short. I don't know if I want to prioritize it though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Uh, I Here. Let's go ahead and talk about characters. So let's talk about our main dude. What are you guys' thoughts about him? Dante from What do you think about his character development? How do you feel about it?
Towards the end, he was more tolerable to me because there were so many moments where I was just like, this guy is so stupid. Like, oh my god, why?
Yeah.
And like even the manga was like literally like, oh my god, Donkey, like even the comment section saying put some of your dye into intelligence. Hello. And it was just like, oh yeah.
I like your feelings of him are just a groan.
I feel like if he was gonna be a whiny little shit, the person who wrote the manhwa should have like gone all in on it and really fleshed out that really shitty personality. That way, when he turns a corner, it's more substantial. Because I feel like his character development is totally unearned.
Yeah.
Like, he had 1 or 2 chapters where he was bitching and moaning about his life being shit, and then he gets the dice, and then suddenly he's awesome, you know, and he's not self-conscious anymore. And for anyone that's ever gone drastic changes in appearance over short periods of time, like people that started hitting the gym, or even just when you get out of the awkward phase that everyone goes through, there's still lingering bits of insecurity. And while we saw that for the 1 chapter when what's the name of the more experienced dice user?
Taibin.
Yeah,
Taibin.
Taibin.
I called him Ty.
I
called him Ty.
Yeah, Ty from Digimon. All right, so when the Digidestin guy, that guy, when he shows up and like establishes his role as boyfriendo, I feel like that's the one instance where we saw that, yeah, his character is still lacking like real substantial growth. But I feel like his arc is going too fast. Like, I wanted him to be more insecure, and I'm okay with the physical changes happening fast, but like the psychological component needed to have been more fleshed out. Like, let's say spending a few more chapters establishing him as basically the punching bag for everyone in the school.
Yeah, it was it was so fast. Like, it felt so fast at the same time slow because we didn't get anything despite it being fast, I thought. Like, he just felt like a mesh of a character. Like, he was here, and then all of a sudden they meshed him together, and he is this new person all the way out here. And I was like, it didn't even feel like a cohesive character at all. And I get that he got the dice, so he's able to change himself and all this and this, but it wasn't, there was no semblance of the person he was before. And I don't know if it's because, like you said, Lou, it should have taken longer, but also we didn't get very much time of him as he was before, but to establish, I think, like, more of his history or something. Like, it just felt so fast. I just haven't been invested in him. I'm not invested in his change or anything. And I think it's also because he's like, he was kind of such a shit character. Like, he wasn't doing anything good. We didn't see anything really about him. I mean, he's a high school boy. It's not like there are way worse characters too that could be doing, like, way worse people. But I had no investing in him beforehand. He wasn't made to feel sympathetic. He didn't have any cute quirk or anything that made me connected to him. And so then when he did get the change, I was like, okay, like, I didn't feel bad for you enough. Like, it felt super generic that you're getting beat up by bullies. And then now you got this change, and I'm still like, eh. And then you continue growing, and I'm still like, eh. Like, I don't really care.
Maybe he was intended to be kind of like a self-insert type of Mary Sue character, where like you have the weak kid who suddenly becomes the hero, and is all self-righteous and extremely powerful, but not quite at the power ceiling. So there is room for growth. I feel like that's the type of character he's kind of established as, but that's not who he's staying as, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like that's not who the character is in the long term. That's just the base framework that they have to function off of. I would love a point in this manhwa where characters revert to who they originally were. I feel like that would make for an interesting turn in the story.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Because we didn't really see any of the other characters. They were like one-offs, and then they all got the dice, and suddenly there are all these other characters, but you're like, I don't really know who they were before. Like, it didn't even really see anything about them before. And then now that they've changed, yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the one thing I do appreciate about that part of the story is like normally when I read manga or manhwa, uh, there's always this nagging bit of all these people are really attractive. So why are all these pretty people together in such a small space?
Yeah.
And like now there's a narrative reason for it.
Yeah. That's true.
This is like, oh, if they're ugly, they don't have dice. There we go.
There we go. It's done. That's really funny. I didn't even think about that. I think another part of main dude, his motivation with the girl, it just feels so generic. So much of it feels generic. Like he feels very generic. His motivation, which is not like it's a very generic motivation, but a lot of stories have taken that and expanded on it in refreshing ways. This one definitely has not done that so far. Like everything he's done has felt very boringly motivated, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know.
Would you say, because this is basically just the same thing as Sweet Guy, to be honest?
Yeah.
Would you say it was done better in this or in Sweet Guy?
Sweet Guy.
I love Sweet Guys. You guys so good.
Yeah, it is really.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's just so yeah, it's just so bland. Like the whole like the girl is bland so far. Like the rival I felt was kind of bland. Like I'm just not invested in anybody or their relationship so far. Like honestly, this season could end with starting over with a whole new cast and I'd be more invested in that, just depending on how it's done. But like I wouldn't feel I'm not interested in what happens with the characters. I'm interested what happens with the dice and learning more about the world with the dice and X than I am what I'm seeing right now. And so, no, I wish I liked them more. I guess. I don't know. Anyway. Well, should we talk about Ty?
I like that he has a dark and tragic backstory that he's terrified of sharing. I'm looking forward to that dark and tragic backstory where he's apparently in hiding from another group of dice users that he was familiar with. And it makes me wonder if, like, in what way they're going to come into play in the story, because since they're more experienced dice users, I would imagine that they're more powerful. So I'm curious to see how the person that's running the story is expanding upon those dice powers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Towards the end I liked it so much more because it was like, oh, this makes sense. This is now like this school specifically, like there were no dice involved before. Now though, we get to see it from the very beginning how it played out. So I'm just very interested to see like how this school turns out, like compared to the one Ty came from. Cause yeah, I was gonna say Tyvin's like been super scared of a repeat of whatever happened at his school or place.
Yeah. I'm very interested to see what his past is, like what you guys were saying. He's probably the most like even he is still kind of like generic to me. He's probably the most interesting to me. I really enjoyed the glasses glasses guy before he met his untimely end. I was very interested to see what was going to happen with him more. But so far, Ty, because he doesn't, what I find interesting about him is he doesn't really seem to like Ujun, the girl's name.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't really seem to be that into her. He kind of feels like he's just going through the motions with her a little bit. Which I think is interesting. For to see him that kind of juxtaposed with Dante being over the hill, head over heels. Oh my god. Head over heels in love with her. Just the whole fight, the whole protecting her, seeing the last little arc we got of the quest of people trying to attack her. Yeah, I'm interested to see how their relationship plays out and what all he actually feels about her and that whole what that relationship is.
I'm curious if he's still bleeding from his kidney.
Yeah, right?
Oh my god, yeah.
Because he used all his dye. So how is he going to heal himself?
Yeah.
Man, he's gonna have to.
I was like, does he have an ability that very slowly heals him or something, or what? Oh my god.
I know. I was like, oh, they brought blood into this real quick.
Like, the most they really established is, all right, he can add points to endurance, and that helps heal. But he used all his points already for that last bit of teleportation.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. And in terms of like special abilities, we know he can teleport. I don't think they've done anything to establish that people can have more than one of those question mark dice. Which I would imagine that's very much a thing that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. When he got stabbed, I was like, oh, this is where they're getting real into this. Because the quest, something I like about the quest is that, like, they're not straight up, like, murder or do something like that. They're, like, hurt or take embarrassing pictures of, or sometimes they seem really timid, and you're like, these are a little weird, like, taking a girl's gym clothes. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's what's interesting is seeing how humanity kind of crumbles around those simple tasks because of what they have their eyes set on, because they want those dice so bad. So it's like, take embarrassing picture. They're like, they didn't need to do it, and it could be kind of like really simple, but they're all going so far into it, and the whole gang mentality of, we have to do this because we need to get these dice. And it's just seeing how the corruption is happening so quickly is what's really interesting about that whole entire fight that we read in the last little arc there.
Mm-hmm.
Just watching how they're all breaking down because they want these stupid dice.
Yeah, cause I know the quests are like, they're based around the personality of the dicers, which is why like Dante's were kind of like, they seemed they were weird, but they weren't anything like too crazy.
They were
like
so
said,
tame.
Like, yeah, it was like, oh, sneak into class, into this classroom so that you can wash this girl's gym clothes for her. And it was like, oh, that's not too bad. But then it was like you said, that the whole mob essentially got like a quest. Their quests that were like, yeah, hurt this girl. And some of them were automatically like, oh, if we do, I can hurt her a certain way, and I can get a bunch of dice based on that, because it would be a long-term period of me hurting her in different ways. And so it was just like, oh my god, it's so like fucked up, but it's like, I don't know, it's very interesting that some of them were like immediately like, no, I'd like, screw the other ones, like, this one's better for me. Here's all the fucked up shit I can do.
Yeah.
I also thought I don't remember at what point, but I think it was like Dante was talking about Pandora's box and how it was
Mhm.
essentially that. And he was just, and then this is where I was just like, Dante, why are you so dumb? Get some intelligence. Because he was just like, oh, I wonder why Hope was in with like all these diseases and like evil things. And it's just, I'm like, get a brain. Like, I don't know. Hope is like a wonderful thing, but I can definitely see why it would be placed with all those things because when you think about it, hope is based on you have to survive through all this suffering in in the potential that you will get the best case scenario where this suffering will be worth it. And to a lot of people that's kind of an evil thing because it like you can hope all you want, but there is no guarantee that you'll get the small percentage of the good outcome. So it's just I don't know. I
Yeah.
was like, Dante, why are you like this? Think about it.
I think since you referenced the Pandora thing, I think of all the like because this manga or this manhwa is trying really hard to sound really smart.
Hmm.
Of all the literary references, that
Mhm.
was like the most ham-fisted one.
Yeah.
I was not a fan of like, which I mean, your analysis of it is spot on, but I feel like the framework in which that story was told and the way it was kind of like broken up with like interspersed bits of the actual manhwa. I don't know. I just wasn't a fan of it. I thought the coolest shit in terms of literary references was like the foreshadowing of X reading the Bible and then later
Yes.
that biblical reference. That was badass.
That was
Like
cool.
that's
No, I
of this
love that
entire
one.
in of this entire section of reading, that was probably my favorite thing.
Mhm. That was awesome.
Hmm. But yeah, all the other references I feel have been kind of I don't know, it's like you said, they were super ham-fisted into it that it kind of put me off because then I started thinking about it and I was like, well, Dante, the reason why that is blah blah blah. So I don't know, I'm just like, oh, I kind of wish he had just been like, oh, this is kind of like Pandora's box, and then left it at that instead of trying to sound super smart and, ugh,
Yeah.
Like that could have been a note at the end of the chapter, like explaining what Pandora's box was for anyone that didn't get the reference.
yeah,
Mhm.
I agree.
Yeah.
I will say though that I did like the visuals that accompanied it. Like the
Mhm.
visuals
Mhm.
conveying or the story of Pandora's box, those were really nice.
Yeah. Mhm.
So like it kind of gets a little bit of a pass just because of that.
Mhm.
I mean, I loved the Einstein. The
Yes.
Oh
Einstein.
my god, yeah.
I love that part.
Oh my god, that illustration.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. There was a lot of times where the references like that where it just felt like it was trying to present itself as being smarter than it actually is when it didn't need to do that. Like it could have just stuck to the other themes that it was exploring with the cubes and the students and stuff. And so yeah, I agree. I agree with that, that it felt a little ham fisted, especially that part.
So how would you guys rate or compare it to other because we've kind of mentioned Tower of God and
Hmm.
I again don't want to spoil Tower of God, so I'm gonna reference Hunter x Hunter. How would you compare it to other powers and abilities that you've seen in other forms of media? So like Hunter x Hunter, I'm drawing the parallel to Nen
Yeah.
Mhm.
as a versatile thing that is being explored. How would you compare the use of the dice when compared to Nen at this point?
I feel like I don't know. Nen, I like Nen a lot more. Put that out
Yeah.
there. The dice all feel pretty bland in terms of like their powers and how they're being used. Like I don't feel like there's been other than the teleportation and the use of freezing time, it hasn't really felt like there's been a ton of really cool dice moments, personally.
Okay.
But I don't know. I feel like there's a lot more potential to them too to come out.
Okay.
What about you?
This is what I kind of wish it was a little bit faster paced when it came to like the story elements, because I do want to know like what can they actually get away with, which is why I like the guy that died with the glasses, because he was thinking about that. He was just like, well, I put all this power into my arm, but my arm's like I can only use it once essentially. So he's like kind of like Deku, where he has this like amazing strength, but at the cost of potentially like fucking up his body really badly because it's not ready to use that ability. So
I like that comparison to Deku because Glasses Guy is nothing like Deku, but also exactly like Deku at the same time.
yeah.
That's great. I'm so mad at myself for not making that comparison. Good job, Moeka.
Thanks.
Good job,
Pat myself on
Moeka.
the back for that one. Because I don't know, I feel like that's kind of a better comparison for that, because I know a lot of people haven't gotten into Hunter x Hunter just because it's very long and there's a lot of hiatus.
And they're wrong.
But
It's great.
God, it's
So
great.
good.
No, it is.
So
It's
good.
really great. If you have the time to get or like invest time into a long series, I definitely recommend Hunter x Hunter a lot.
What about you, Lou? How do you feel about it?
About what exactly?
About the dice compared to like Nen and stuff like that.
Okay. Kind of like how you guys feel that it's something that has room, or specifically how Erin was feeling that it's something that has yet to really fully be explored. I think that last couple chapters that we read really opened the doors for what could be done with this. But my concern is that the question mark dice feels like they because with all right, I need to like really like walk myself to this point, so just bear with me for a second.
Do it.
We're gonna go on a little bird walk here, so just hold up a second.
Bird walks.
All right. So in Hunter x Hunter, Nen has a set of rules, and what happens throughout the course of the exploration of what Nen can do is it abides by those rules in terms of like the different classes of Nen users and the ways that Nen users interact with each other on kind of like a complicated rock paper scissors, whatever. The problem with the dice is that it's too open-ended. So it's really convenient that the main character can stop time, and it's really convenient that the Digidestin guy can teleport, And I'm curious, like, yes, this lends itself to variety, which is nice, but it feels like there's no real narrative cohesion between any of the special abilities that we've seen so far.
That makes sense. I didn't think about that, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
True.
Because it could easily be cop-outs or power-ups for no reason other than to have power-ups.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and especially if the people doing the quests are like diligent about it, then they could essentially just keep powering up like just random things for the sake of it, because they're just like, I just want to power this up for no reason. Like there's no thought behind it.
Yeah. There's no like who can or who can't handle an ability or something like that too. Like there doesn't seem to be any restrictions or limits or anything to them. And so you're just kind of like, okay, well, it's gonna feel random if you get this, or like if this person gets this one, it's because it needed to advance this part of the plot or this part of the narrative or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, I wonder how they, and if they could like, because it's at 100, 240 chapters, something like that now. And so if they're going to be able to keep it with like the dice, because when you start having that more and more dicers, like you're gonna have more and more opportunities for these dice to be like convenient or ridiculous or unnecessary too. So that is very interesting to think about, Lou. I didn't think about that beforehand. Let's see. Should we talk about Glasses Guy? He met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't around for long. He was he was definitely, I expected him to be around a little bit longer. I did not expect his death to kind of be where the story actually starts, really, if that makes sense. Like, his death is like the catalyst that starts everything else off, I feel like. If you guys, I don't know if you guys knew this, but on Webtoons, which is where the official English translation is, they actually have this manhwa has a soundtrack, actually.
No, I was going to talk about that too.
Okay, yeah. So it has a soundtrack, and so on certain chapters, music will play for the chapter. And so I went back and was like reading some chapters on there, and all of a sudden the chapter where Glasses Guy dies, this music just started playing, and I was like, do I have an ad open somewhere? What's going on?
I was very confused the first time as well, but then I was like, oh dang, the music they picked it actually does fit the mood pretty nicely.
Yeah, it's like an original soundtrack. So the manhwa has an original soundtrack to it, which is pretty dope, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so that like his death kind of stood out because I remember the song playing during that, and I was like, oh my. But yeah, his death I thought was, it was a lot bigger of a catalyst than I was expecting it to, because I didn't expect his dice go everywhere when he died, like all the students, that's how they become dicers. I didn't really see that coming, and so I thought it was interesting how important his death ended up being for the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
For the whole story.
Yeah.
Also, can we, like, I don't know, he was like so smart that he hacked into the server that X has or whatever, and I'm just, I don't know, I'm still stuck on, I want to know what he found out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, anything X related it was just, I don't know, I just wanted to know more about X than any of the other characters.
Yeah,
I just wasn't connected with anyone else.
Yeah, I agree.
Even though it's like, I don't know, it's weird because it's like, oh, X is just a random person that's messaging these people. You don't really know all that much about him, really.
Yeah. You know, he gets a little, you can piss him off real easy. He goes a little berserk sometimes, it seems. You hit the wrong button and he's just like, whoa. I like that X sent Dongtae the quest to like go to the school and unlock the window and stuff like that. But because he didn't give any other context, Dongtae was like, well, why would I do that? And so then after Glasses-kun died, you could definitely see X was a little gleeful, like seemed pretty cheerful about it, and also in the like way where he's like, hey Dongtae, something happened and you probably could have been able to prevent it, but so kind of like a guilt trippy, really fucked up way.
X is a dick.
Real fucked up way of like talking to Dongtae.
X is a dick, but use of emoticons is on fucking point.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh my God.
Agreed. And he like the whole X is a major dick, like during the part where he is talking to the girl about not being a dice user, like refusing to become a dicer, where he's like, why won't you do that? And so she refuses to do anything, so he's just constantly trying to make her life bigger and bigger hell because she's not playing by his game, and that's like obviously pissing X off. And so she, I'm guessing he, because I think he's the kid from the first chapter, but not a nice person, that X.
Uh-huh.
Something going on. What did you guys think about the whole mafia family-esque guild things that was happening? Did you care? Were you invested? What were your feels?
I wasn't all that surprised that it happened because I was just like, I don't know. It's just like, for me, it was just like, that's definitely gonna happen because there is some dude that's gonna be like, Ponzi scheme, easy. These like, I have all these die, and these other like dumbasses don't, and they're desperate for it. So I'm going to abuse the fact that they want to die. Cause oh my god, when that kid was just like, I want to die, and then the guy was just like, oh, go do this, I'll give you one, all right. And then when he hands him the red one, oh my god, I was just like, no, this poor sap. But at the same time, it was like, I don't know what you were expecting. You should have been like, I want a blue die.
I would have liked them more if they would have been more of a threat to the two main characters. Because really they were like, they weren't at any point a substantial threat to the two main dice users because they weren't strong enough. Like, as adversaries, they weren't enough of a threat. Now, I guess the point was they were supposed to be overwhelmed by the numbers, but the fact of the matter is that Ty was able to overcome them, and the only reason why he was injured is because he dropped his guard around someone that didn't have any ability at all.
Yeah.
Someone in the chat is mentioning the three girls and their group dynamic where they have three different abilities. I feel like it would have been nice if that fight would have been dragged out a bit.
It happened so fast. Like, I barely remember much of it.
It didn't really register at all for me. Like, I feel like if that would have been the focal point for like a full chapter, and then maybe they would have been overwhelmed, and then then the sun would have set, and main boy would have met his quest. I feel like it would have been more impactful that way, but it feels rushed.
Yeah. That's how... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that I hope this is just an introduction for them and they don't just go away.
Yeah.
Because I feel like...
that was my fear as well. Sorry, keep going.
I was just going to say, because like, as a trio, like, I want to see female dice users that are powerful. Like, I feel like at this point, everything is kind of localized on the boys. So I'm really hoping to see some really strong female characters in the later sections of reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't... And this kind of brings up Enju, the main girl. Because I can't... I don't know. So far, I haven't been able to, like, sympathize with her or, like, really feel attached to her because I don't know. It's like she's already pretty. She's pretty smart. Like, I don't know. She's so Mary Sue-ish. And then her, like, not even questioning or thinking about, like, oh, I could... Like, I don't know, because she immediately just dismissed it and was just... Or, like, dismissed the dice and were just like, no, I'm not going to use them. They shouldn't be a thing. And I'm wondering now, is that because is she involved with... Or not involved, but does she know other dicers or something? Is she just playing dumb? But so far but nothing really points to that. So I'm just like, she literally is just like, oh, dice, no, they mess with our genetic genes to make us better. No, that's evil. No, don't touch.
I feel like the rationalization that they gave was whatever her backstory is, which we haven't been really introduced to. I think the most we really got out of it was one throwaway line of dialogue where she said, oh, there was a time where I would have done something like that, but not anymore. There's that, and then there's the scar that she had on her chest.
But I'm just like, but that's, I don't know, for me that's not enough to like go by, because it's like, did she get that scar biking? Did she fall off a bike? And like, I don't know. Like, I don't know anything about her other than she's pretty, she's really smart, and everyone liked her before the quests went out.
Yeah.
I mean, I can totally see why that's a concern.
I'll be right
and
back.
and I don't disagree with it at all as a concern. Like I feel that part of her character arc is still a ways out. Like right now, she is presented as kind of like the end game for our main character, and until they decide on what they want to be the new focal point of the manga or of the manhwa, I think that she is kept as this unattainable like standard that the main character aspires to have in his life,
Mhm.
which I feel like that we're at that turning point where that's going to change and she's going to become more involved in the plot, because now she's aware of the dice, and she herself may not become a user, but
Mhm.
her being aware of that kind of takes away from that pristine image that she had before.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I think that there's still a lot to be explored with her character arc, but I will agree that it's definitely lacking in on several points. Namely the whole like real lack of depth, and she's the idyllic character. I don't know. Whenever there's a character that's too put together, I just can't get behind them at all.
Yeah, I agree. That's why for what we read, that those are my thoughts. But I hope that they do explore a little bit more later on, because I think I will read a bit further just to scope it out. Which that girl, which I think the girl they introduced at the very end of the last chapter we read. Now I'm wondering if she's the next girl, because Dante was essentially kind of like already hinting like, I don't think things between me and this girl are gonna work at all.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if there's a new love interest introduced. I'm not sure what direction they're planning for this new girl. I think she was introduced early on or earlier on, right?
Yeah,
As
I think, yeah, and I think she might be somebody that was kind of quote unquote like an ugly classmate or something like that, and I think she just became a dicer. So all of a sudden she's like super pretty, so no one recognizes her. Maybe.
speaking of super pretty, how's the little girl?
Oh,
Oh,
Kaylee. Her hair's so long.
hi. Oh, we're bitching and moaning about the main girl for now, and
Mhm.
then like kind of segueing into like the new girl that was introduced.
I agree. I don't, because Lou had put it really well just before you got back, that it's really hard to get behind a character that's just super well put together and that you don't really know anything tragic wise or past wise that like motivates them to be that way, or because
Mhm.
it like so far it just seems, or up to this point it always seemed, or before we saw the scar, it was always, oh, Dante's just super pretty, she's really smart, everybody likes her.
Yeah.
And there's no, oh, she's really, Dante kind of had like rose tinted glasses and it was just like, oh, she talked to me on occasion and said hello
Yeah.
to me, but everyone else never really said anything about her other than, oh, she's pretty,
Yeah.
she's pretty smart. And that was it. It was never like, oh, here was my experience with her, she helped me with my homework, or she talked to me when I like no one else would.
Mhm. Yeah.
I feel like what would have helped is maybe if her personality wasn't as bland as it was.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
I
like
agree.
if she would have had a little bit of a quirkier side to her, like I feel like that would compensate for just how she's too perfect. Like
Yes.
Yeah, it's
it
really
seems like they're trying
off-putting.
to, it seems like the writer for this manhwa is trying really hard to make her a waifu,
Yeah.
and because of that, like their super try hard mentality, it's like backfiring on them really hard.
Agreed.
Mhm.
She's so She's so perfect to the point where, like, when she does the whole, I don't want to do the dice thing, it makes her feel so snobby because she's already this, like, perfect person that we don't know anything. We don't get why. We're not giving any reason for why she's perfect. There's nothing for us to connect to agree with it, anything like that. And so it's just, yeah.
Erin, someone. Oh, okay. I was gonna say someone in the chat was saying that you were muted, but now people are saying no. So.
Oh, yeah, I unmuted myself. I forgot that when I left, I muted myself so people didn't have to hear my child be upset. Then I forgot to do it. But yeah, I agree. I think she's just so there, so not. I don't.
Yeah,
I'm not
and it kind of makes me hate Dante for it, that he's like so, I don't know, he's just so into her because she was nice to him, and I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate, because it brings up the whole, like, oh, this girl was nice to this dude once, now he's like super attached to her and loves her and yada yada, and it's like,
Yeah.
why are you like this? That's not how. Because Dante's like, I want to be with this girl. She was nice to me. I can't believe Ty Bin's with her now. And I don't know. It's so gross to me.
Oh no, and then he goes on as far as stalking Tywin and trying to like get dirt on him. Like
Yeah, and it's like,
Oh,
no, that's
yeah.
disgusting. Like, just accept that she's with him. Like, you can worry for her, but don't stalk the dude. Jesus.
Yeah. Is there anything else? We kind of already have been talking about art. Is there any other points you guys want to make about the art at all? Otherwise, we can move into final thoughts and ratings unless there's something we haven't touched on. Otherwise.
no, I think I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good too.
Okay. Final thoughts and ratings or art? Which one are we doing? Final thoughts? Is that where
I think we all really touched on the art. I mean, I think
yeah.
the art was really good. You know, that high standard that you see on webtoons.
Yeah. Cool. Someone in chat asked, said, if she doesn't use the dice and everyone else does, what will she become? So, something. Think about.
A target, apparently.
Target. Yeah, apparently she just becomes the target of the quest.
Yeah.
All right. Final thoughts and ratings. Will either of you want to go first?
I'll go first.
Lou?
So from a lot of my interest in this manga or in this manhwa is carried by the art and by the basic framework of the story. So far, the execution has not been great. The characters have not been all that interesting. It's definitely a case of a story being carried by its premise as opposed to by its characters. So based on my experience with it, I feel like it's currently sitting at like a 6.5 for me because like there's so much more they could have done with the characters. They could have like they feel like stereotypes that aren't really even remotely human.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're reinforcing really negative stereotypes and kind of like glorifying them. You know, like especially with like main boy's whole fixation on main girl. And that, I don't know, it's just really unhealthy. And I feel like it doesn't need to be that way.
Yes.
Like it could have been written in a way where they tell the same story and it doesn't like glorify toxic behavior. But you know, that substantial grievance aside, I feel like there's a lot to be explored. I really enjoyed X as a character. And I feel like with time, now that the foundation has been laid, that there's a lot that can be done with the story. And I'm curious to see what they do with it. So 6.5 out of 10. I do see room for a lot of growth though.
Yeah, or I think, for what we read, I'm definitely sitting at a 6, and I'm going to keep reading because, like you said, there's a lot of foundation set already, and I'm hoping they explore more with it and don't just stick with what they're currently doing, because otherwise it's gonna feel really long and dragged out, and I'm gonna get bored.
Yeah. Are you finished? Sorry, I don't want to.
Yeah, no, I am.
I agree. I'm at about a 6.5 as well, for the reasons that you guys have said. Like, there's a lot of very interesting setup and things that can be done. I'm interested in X. I love the art. But the entire main cast, I'm so uninvested in them, and they're so cliche and generic, and like they're more cardboard than cardboard sometimes, it feels like. And so it's hard to be really invested in a story when you have no connection with any of the main characters, but other than the one that is off screen entirely, which you do have to give credit where credit's due, that the most interesting character is the character who only speaks through text. So that's something. But yeah, it's really hard for me to even think about wanting to really read more about it. I think there's just so much other stuff that I feel a lot more strongly positively about. So
I have a question. What would happen if the dice user didn't have a phone?
Oh, I didn't think about. I think I thought I was thinking about it, but I kind of forgot, and because everybody has one, and it's like South Korea, so I can.
Just
So I guess we're just have
whip
to
out
take...
whip out their typewriter.
Get the eye contact out with the tech in it. But no, that is a really good point, because I'm sure there are people out there in South Korea that don't have cell phones, even though.
Would it just be a regular dice?
But no, it would be like it. Well, I don't know, cause X uses anything that's a dice to like scope out an area or parameter where that die is. So
Yeah.
I don't think that would work though, because then he'd have no way of like actually being able to speak to people through that.
Yeah.
Unless he can like put out screens through them or something. Now I'm interested.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Maybe they just like wouldn't have any response or something. But I'm not sure.
Oh, you know what though? X would probably just get someone to like, he'd give out a quest, because it kind of happened with Yujun, where he had that guy that really wanted a die. He was just like, here's a quest, I'll give you a die if you do this quest, go find this girl and like get her in contact with me.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming something along those lines is probably what would happen.
Yeah. Sure.
Get some rich dicer. Hey, buy this kid a cell phone. I need to keep in contact with him.
Hey, dicer.
Well, based on chat, it seems like there is an answer to my question. So
Oh,
I'm going to read more.
So many things I want to say. Ooh. Awesome. Well, do you guys have anything else you want to add? Otherwise, I will... Cool. So that wraps up our discussion on Dice, the cube that changes everything. We hope that you guys go and check it out, form your own opinion on it, definitely. I'm going to go ahead and read the description for the manga that we are reading next week.
The link may not work because Mel has issues, but I found the description if you don't have one.
Do you want to do it?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
You want to hit it up?
All right. The manga provides a fictionalized account of the Warring States period, primarily through the experience of the war orphan Blank and his comrades as he fights to become the greatest general under the heavens, and in doing so, unify China for the first time in its history. That's it.
What can it be? Oh yeah, the game. I've been wanting to read The Gamer. I feel someone in chat mentioned checking out The Gamer, and that's I started reading that one. And it was really good. I need to read more of it. Hey, sweetheart. So,
Any guesses, chat?
Guesses?
I'll give you a hint. We have read it in the past, or at least MangaPod has read it in the past before I joined the show.
It was a very long time ago.
And it's been on like almost every recommendation thread ever.
Yeah. It is one word. It's very easy. Let's see.
Everybody's like, Mal is down. I can't know.
I can't find it. It is. I'm just gonna go ahead and nope. It's not Overlord. Not Harmony. You guys can do it. I'm just gonna go ahead and Mal being down kind of messed us up, but that's fine. It is Kingdom. We are reading Kingdom, volumes 4 through 6, chapters 31 through 63. That is what we will be reading next week. Let's go around and shout out our stuff super duper fast. I am Erin of Happily Erin. I have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/happilyerin. It is an anime channel, but it's mostly MangaPod right now, which I love. But you can also go and find all the previous MangaPods there, as well as any of my previous anime videos, anime reviews, first impressions, top 10 lists, all sorts of stuff like that. I'm much more active on Twitter, which is also Happily Erin. I am working on a book and, going through writer's hell, and also Voltron Season 6 comes out next week. So I will soon once again be in Voltron hell. So if you're into any of those, come and join me over on Twitter. Hit me up.
Yeah. My name's Lou, and I have an anime-related channel called Lou Talks Anime. Haven't been very active. It's been a long time since I've made a video, and that partly deals with the fact that I've been working, and my job is kind of like all consuming of my time. But I have managed to stream occasionally. That said, since I'm talking about streaming, my job, which is teaching, is coming to a long vacation period because summer vacation is a wonderful thing. And I am planning on streaming a lot over the summer, like every day for at least a few hours. So hopefully that will make up for any absence of content. And if I do take a few days off of not streaming, it's going to be to make a video for my channel. So it's going to be a very productive summer for me. I'm hoping. So yeah, but in terms of like consistent, like if you need to get in touch with me or would like to just shoot the shit about manga or gaming or whatever, it's just Lou Talks Anime on Twitter. Like that's the go-to. I'm always on there.
I can see it.
And that's my stuff.
Okay.
Yay! Hello, I'm gonna take over now. I am MegaMoeka. I'm pretty active on Twitter. I'm away from my house right now, so that's why I haven't been really streaming consistently. But yeah, Twitter, you can find me at MegaMoeka, and then on Twitch as well is just /MegaMoeka. Usually I stream a bunch of JRPGs, first-person shooter games recently, like Overwatch and Siege. I'm in gacha hell. I won't lie. I've been playing Alice a lot, and hopefully, any of my usual viewers will let you know all about that. But yeah, I also have a YouTube, but I'm just a lot more consistent on Twitch, kind of like Lou. And I think I've been wanting to do a Alice video if anybody is interested in that. So I will put that out sometime once I'm done with the script.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Moeka, for coming on. It's lovely to have you as always.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Of course. And thank you all so much who are watching this and on Twitch, and for those who've been watching on YouTube later. Thank you so much for watching and listening. We really appreciate it. If you would like more MangaPod, we have a subreddit, reddit.com/r/MangaPod. Our schedule for the upcoming weeks is there, as well as a recommendation thread. If there's anything you would like to see us read, then go ahead and post a comment there. If it's already posted, go ahead and just upvote it. And we will be here, same time, same place next week, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, talking Kingdom, Volume 4 through 6, Chapters 31 through 63. We'll see you then. Bye! You want to wait bye-bye? No.
Kaylee's like, no, I'm
Nope.
tired. I just got up
Had
from a
enough of your shit,
nightmare.
Erin.